Hey guys.
Hey everyone.
Happy 20th episode. Woo!
All right, we're not even going to beat around the bush. Mm-mm. We know why we're here. We have the wheel pulled up.
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody's name's inside.
It's giveaway time, baby.
Dude, once I click this space bar, it's game over.
What giveaway? Oh my God.
Wait, what giveaway?
Giveaway? There was a giveaway?
What? Well, if you followed inthepudding.podcast on Instagram, you'd know. So,
Anywhoosie, we reached 100 followers. We reached the little goal we had, okay? So we're like, let's give back, you know?
let's do a giveaway.
Or something. So we told you guys to follow us, like our last Instagram post, and then tell us your favorite episode to be entered. Mm-hmm. And a couple of you guys entered.
Just a few.
So we have the wheel pulled up, a randomized wheel thing, you know? Kind of like a Wheel of Fortune type vibe. Mm-hmm. Okay? So, yeah. Oh, what are we giving you guys?
Oh.
Surprise.
Yeah, so I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
You thought I was going to tell you?
Psh. It's
Silly.
a surprise.
It's your first day?
Come on now. But whoever wins, we will be contacting you on Instagram. Mm-hmm. So just so you know.
Keep your DMs open.
Because we're about to dive in. Whoa. Anyways.
Yeah, this is
all right, guys.
This is the big moment.
Buckle your seatbelts. It's the big kahuna.
They hit the 15 mark 10 times. All right, one.
All right. Yeah.
Two.
You know, oh my God.
1, 2, 3. She's spinning. She's spinning. She's spinning. She's spinning. She's spinning.
Yay! Winner, chicken dinner to
Sebastian! At FireBaby630.
I'm glad you like ghost adventures. Ooh, spooky.
Everyone go follow him. He's the big kahuna winner. What is he going to win? Ooh, I don't know.
Surprise.
Just kidding. I do know, but I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, we'll tell you in secret.
Check your DMs. That was exciting.
Aw, happy day to Sebastian for winning. He's like, I entered.
He's like, wait.
All right, now that that's over, we just want to say thank you for supporting the podcast. Mm-hmm. Thank you to everybody who entered for also supporting the podcast.
And being interactive with us and giving us support and sharing our content. That's so sweet.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. And there might be another one in the future.
But we don't know.
So stay tuned, you know? Anyway, so on to today's topic.
All right, guys. On today's topic, we are going to be talking about performative activism.
What's that?
Oh, to me, and I don't know if this is the exact definition. Mm-hmm. We could look it up. But to me, I believe that it's when activism becomes kind of trendy. Mm-hmm. It becomes trendy to care, and not that caring and, wanting to use your voice and take part in issues that are serious. It's just when you post things on your story and then you're like, oh, look at this. And then you don't do anything outside of that.
It's kind of like posting on my story. That's my job. I'm done.
Yeah.
I check that box.
I posted a how-to on not to be racist, so I did my part. Mm-hmm. That's when it becomes performative. Also, when you do post these things and then you don't take time to educate yourself. Mm-hmm. You see an Instagram, a little how-to informative, and you're like, oh, that's all I need to know. When really research has to go into it and truly understanding what you're fighting for is... When that's ignored, that becomes very performative.
Because newsflash, Instagram isn't an educational tool.
It's not.
Oh, and guess what? Neither is Twitter or Facebook or any social media platform.
Yeah.
Just do your research.
It's important too because a lot of these those social media outlets, they have become very useful in showing people things that they wouldn't have known about per se because the classes that I've taken, the research I've done, I had to seek that out. And a lot of people, they don't know what they don't know yet. Mm-hmm. That's very common, and that's understandable. But, people using Instagram is good to, that's a baby step. But once you get past that, that's not it. There's 1,000 more steps you have to take. Mm-hmm. And when you don't take those steps because you just don't want to, that becomes an issue.
Mm-hmm. And we see this a lot, on social media, especially recently. Mm-hmm. Ever since the summer?
Yeah.
I feel that's where it was at the height, the peak of performative activism. But then we also see it in media. We see it in theater. We see it in, would you say film? I feel I can't think of a film example. I think of a lot of theater examples.
I have examples for film. The thing is, and I don't want anyone to think that we're discrediting people that are, doing things because you never know someone's true intentions. Mm-hmm. You never know. And it's not good to judge either and make it like gatekeep activism, because
Yeah.
that also happens where people are like, oh, now you're an activist, but it's like, I'm an ally, like we should be on the same team. So we'll give an example of, you know, something more immediate for us. In our theater classes, it has become more popular to have these conversations, and that's not a problem, you know. And it came up particularly, I think last semester is when they really started, you know, doing land acknowledgements, you know, being more sensitive to races and things you can't say. And not that they were being said, well, some people were saying them, but not that they were being said, you know, often enough, but just so everyone's on the same page. It's like laying a flat ground for everybody. And it became an issue when we were spending hours in classes, you know, taking away from class time to learn about these things, which is not bad, but it's when that's all that was being done. And besides those classroom conversations, that work and that understanding was not being carried on into shows or other classrooms or past that one meeting we had.
Because I don't know if you've heard this like famous phrase. Well, no, it's actually not very famous. It's kind of like underground. It's like a low-key phrase. But like actions speak louder than words. Ever heard
You
of
know
that
that one?
You know that one?
I learned it when I was like really little.
Oh yeah, it's like not that many people know it. Especially our theater department. But like actions speak louder than words. So it became, for me at least, and this is not for all the professors, obviously, there's like some where it felt like they were just reading stuff to read it. You know, like, all right, well, it's on the syllabus, so we gotta say, hey, we're not racist, guys. And then it's just like, all right, that's over, you know, that's done. But I've had other teachers who take it and it becomes a discussion, and everybody in the class participates, and it becomes like it's like a communal thing, like we all talk about it. But it's just, I wish that people's actions just lined up with what they were saying, because that's not really happening a lot in our department, but it's also not just limited to our department, to other things as well. My friend told me about this play. I forgot what it was. She told me about it. I know she's listening. But she was basically saying that it was very performative. It was like performative activism. Like they literally, I don't want to say this wrong, but I want to say that it was an adaptation of Antigone that was done at a theater company. I forgot which one. But the way that they did it was like they were kind of pulling out every card. Like with every character, it was like this character's pulling the black card, this character's pulling out the gay card, this character's pulling out the female card.
Is it to the point where these identities are becoming their personality? Like it's dictating like who they are? Is that what you mean?
Yes. I want to say yes. But again, this is a story that she told me. So I didn't see the play. She saw the play. But I would say so. Which leads me to the conversation of minorities being expected to act a certain way. Ask me to explain.
That can go in so many ways, so I want you to explain.
Ask me to explain.
No, explain, please.
Okay. No problem. So gladly. So in one of my classes, we have to do a business. Oh no, scratch. In one of my classes, we have to do a mission statement, right?
Yeah.
About like what type of artist we want to be and what we want to do. And a lot of people were saying stuff regarding being a minority. You know, like, oh, I want to give more opportunities for Hispanics or for Asians or for whatever, you know, but it became like very minority based and minority focused. And my friend, who is not a minority, she was like, I don't know what to write, because like what's my identity? Like I'm not a minority, like I'm privileged. I can't say like, oh, the woes of being white, you know what I mean? So then I thought, well, the way I interpreted the mission statement was like what you want to do as an artist personally. So like my mission statement was very much about me, which I don't know if it's selfish, but it was more like I want to be inspired by the work that I do. Like I want to do things that make me happy. And we just had this conversation, me and my friend, where we're like, I wonder if the teacher's going to be okay with that, because majority of the class was leaning towards that, you know? Like the other side of the spectrum. And we had this whole conversation where it was basically like if me and my friend were to give in the same mission statement, how it would be interpreted differently from it coming from like a white woman versus me, you know? And it's like, oh, well, she's a white woman, and of course she has nothing to talk about when it comes to being a minority.
Yeah.
But then if I present the same thing, it's kind of like, well, why didn't you talk about your struggles with this, you know? Because it's kind of like, quote unquote, expected for us to be so attached to the discrimination that we face all the time, and that's like our only, quote unquote, identity.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
No, honestly,
You know what does that make sense?
It makes absolute
Okay.
sense. And I was thinking about this so much today, and I feel like that's why I was in a bad mood earlier, because there's so many topics we have where I can talk about ethnicity and race and like culture, because it has to do with everything. As much as we try to like differentiate things and like separate, like culture, identity, race play such a huge part in everything we do, every single little detail, like anything you can imagine. And
Eating ass?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I try so hard not to. Like, I always, like, hold my tongue. I was like, Angie, don't bring up, like, these topics because I could go on forever. I really can. I can go on for, like, 10 fucking episodes about this shit. You know what I mean? Not this shit. Like, I'm really passionate about it, but.
Because for me, like, I know that it plays a part in a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't like that being my only thing. And I don't like being expected to identify only as that. And especially when it comes to something like being an artist. It's like, as an artist, what do you want to do? Well, as an artist, I don't see myself as a little biracial female who's struggling. Like, I don't see myself like that, you know? I see myself...
You're not letting the oppression you're just going to face for the rest of your life dictate how you live.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the end of the episode, guys. No, but that's basically it. Like, you summed it up. And I feel like it's so expected, kind of, for a minority to take that route. Yeah. Which, yeah, that's just like a segue. But anyway, performative activism, I feel like, has to play in that a little bit. You know, feeling like you always have to be standing up for a cause when you're a minority. It's not our responsibility as minorities to lift us all up.
It's minorities who are using their voice and shouting and begging to be, you know, not oppressed, obviously. But really, like, we, as much as there's power in numbers and voices, we're not the oppressors. You know, there's, like, small oppressions and, like, you know, there's racist minorities, of course. But we're not the ones that are, we're not the default, you know, and we never will be.
Another thing when it comes to, like, performative activism, I think it is kind of a cop-out. There, I said it. You know? Like, oh, let's take a story. Let's pull out all these cards, and bam, we're woke and super, super liberal, and we just created art. I feel like that's a cop-out. And I'm talking about the ones where it's, like, clearly, like, they just said it to say it. Said it to say it, you know?
And they didn't mean it.
They didn't mean it, or they just did it to kind of make a statement, but the statement isn't with the intention of, I want to spread a message or make a difference. It's more like, well, I'm showing you that I'm not racist. I'm showing you this because obviously I wrote a gay character whose only identity is gay, you know? And I feel like that does more harm because it just limits us to our stereotypes.
Yeah. This is so complicated, too, because I see a lot of, you know, forms of media, like whether it's a play or, you know, a movie, and they're very, like, stereotypical, you know? They're very, like, the bare minimum of being woke. And a part of me is like, this is so ridiculous, you know? Like, it's not even fun to watch because this is, like, fluff, you know? This is ridiculous. And then I always wonder, like, is it just me feeling this way? Because I have years of this knowledge and research that I've done, and also I'm a minority. Like, I know these struggles. I learned these struggles when I was little. So is this type of art just not meant for me because I already know? Is it meant for people that don't know? And am I receiving it weird because
It's like common sense to you?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Because then I wonder, like, imagine, like, somebody super, super oblivious to, like, the whole world seeing something like Reverb.
Yeah.
Like, to us, it's like, okay, obviously we're in a fucking pandemic. Obviously there's racism. Like, we know it, you know? But would you say, like, a complete, like, an alien, like a Martian who came down from Earth and had, like, no concept of anything would watch Reverb and just feel so woke? Like all of a sudden they're knowledgeable on like they get it.
It's so hard for me. Like because I'm so biased, you know, like it's impossible for me to not, you know, imagine. But then I think of like on a smaller scale, I had a class, it was called dialogue. It was my dialogue class.
I hate dialogue.
And
I want to say that I fought 2 of my teachers in dialogue.
So
verbally.
Basically, it was kind of like a mini ethnic studies class. And it was like the bare bones, like ethnic studies curriculum. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I already knew this shit like when I was like 7. And so many people were like, whoa. And their eyes were like being opened. And I'm like, and that's why I'm like, some people are like that. And they don't know. And I'll give like a mini example. There was a girl who grew up in the suburbs. And she only knew like private schools. And then a lot of kids in that class grew up with public schools, like Chicago public schools, and you know, like the funding is different, like the resources are different, the way the school looks is different, the way it's like upheld is different. And she was so like blown away. She's like, I didn't know that was real, that schools could possibly be run and look like that. She was like foreign to her. So that's why I have to like take a step back and like when we were in one of our playwriting classes, we had the same talk about being sensitive.
It was the most exhausting conversation.
And I was getting upset, and I'm like, and then after I was like, Angie, take a step back. Why are you so bothered by this?
Exhausting because it was 3 hours, by the way, not because it's the topic. I don't.
Yeah, no, of course, but like, I was like, Angie, why are you so upset? And I'm like, well, I've taken the time to do all this research and really educate myself and try to. Everyone's biased, you know, everyone's gonna have biases, but I try to diminish that as much as I can. I'm still gonna have a bias no matter what, like everyone does for everything. Just some people act on it more than others. And I was like, why are you so upset about this conversation in class? And I realized it's because I've sat through that conversation for years. You know, I've taken the time to educate myself. And it bothers me. I was like, because other people don't. And then we have to have these conversations all of the time. The same conversation of the bare bones of how to treat people.
The conversation for all of those listening at home were if we should say the N-word in class when it is written in a play.
Yeah.
If a playwright writes the N-word, is that okay? Is it okay if somebody says it? And it could have been summed up in like 2 sentences, but this conversation was like 3 fucking hours long, which is why it was so tiring. Hey, just don't say it if you're not black.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, that was only 1 sentence. Gotcha.
No, and the thing is that in the theater department, it has become like part of the curriculum to start like earlier in the semesters and like reminding people. And then I wonder, I'm like, is that really not just common sense?
Like, why do you need a reminder? Because remember there was something, it was called like, oh, we're this is so fucking ridiculous. It makes me laugh. It was like, we're hosting an anti-racist seminar. I'm like, just don't be fucking racist. Like, I'm sorry, why do you need to hold a whole seminar on how to be anti-racist?
And a part
it's
of it,
not like oh, being anti-animal rights or animal cruelty. Like, it's not that. It's like racism. Just don't be fucking racist. Who would have thought?
And honestly, you know what? I'll say this. If you are in Generation Z and, you know, you're around this age, like, you know, youngest 17, I'll give that. I guess you should know if you're younger, to be honest. To like what, like 22?
Okay.
Well, I'll give that like age range. That's in Generation Z. And you have social media. There is absolutely no excuse to not be sensitive and aware of what's going on. There is no excuse because it is literally everywhere.
It's like shoved down your throat at every 2 seconds.
To the point where if you don't know what's going on and you aren't being aware and you aren't being like, hey, why is everyone talking about this? Maybe I should look into it. You have no fucking excuse at all.
Unless you're following like 0 people.
Unless your
timeline is just empty.
Yeah.
Then
unless you made the
there's no
Instagram and
excuse.
then never used it again.
If you could watch like little TikToks about like Addison Rae, I think you could figure out how to not say the N-word if you're not black.
No, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you have time to be on social media, you have time to educate yourself.
And it's very apparent when you're just being performative when it comes to your activism on social media. And I think people just don't understand the concept of posting a story isn't enough. Posting a little swipe action on Instagram isn't enough.
You know what bugs me? This is like a side note.
Also, 1 second to say something. If you don't post on your story, that also does not mean that you're not an activist. You do not have to post on your story to prove that you're not racist. I just want to say that.
Yeah. a side note, when I do post things and I do like raise conversations, I have, not anymore because I blocked so many people. I don't know why they had the balls to talk to me and, try to rebuttal me without facts. I would raise facts and, provide statistics, and I would even provide people articles and videos when they wanted to rebuttal me. And then they would come at me with just opinions. I'm like, well then, why would you come into my DMs?
I don't like posting on my story because it's, again, I feel like it's common knowledge. Mm-hmm. The people that I'm following like 200 people. Mm-hmm. And they all know each other, like we're all in the same community. It's not like they're random strangers. And I don't feel the need to post something on my story that I assume everybody that I follow or is following just knows.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to educate anybody on how to not be racist and how to not do the bare bones of things. Yeah. I don't like posting on my story because I feel like, I don't know about you. I tap through everyone's story. Mm-hmm. When I see it, I tap it. Unless it's something different, because it gets to the point where like one image or one post is shared by like 50 people. I'm just like, okay, well, enough. And it just gets to the point where I just tap and I'm bored, and just too much kind of pushes people away because then people don't want to watch shit anymore, But
that's also an issue because it becomes an issue of like comforting, like you see these things and you're like, oh, like I'm tired of seeing this. And it's like, well, the people that are being talked about are tired of being oppressed, A lot of things that are posted on Instagram, like I said before, they're like baby steps, You can see an issue and it being posted a million times, but maybe you've never heard of it before. So then you click on it and you're like, oh, I didn't know this was an issue. And then that's meant for you to go further on your own time to like look into it. And I think it got to a point where, like, again, it became trendy. So then people got so tired, which is so fucked up. People got tired of seeing that stuff, and they're like, oh, like, I don't want to see this on my feed anymore, which is, like, another issue in itself.
No, actually, I agree with those people.
They didn't want to see it anymore?
Yeah. Like, when it got to, like, too much, dude, I was like, this is, like, too much. Because not just, oh, it's annoying, but it's like, I don't like thinking about this all the time. Like, people talk about it in school. We're reading plays about it. My friends are talking about it. Okay, I go onto Instagram. I try to find something cool. That's being talked about there. It's on Snapchat. It's everywhere. And it's like, there is no escape, like, from it. And it's like, seeing it all the time, like, yeah, it makes me upset. So why would I want to see it all the time? That's why I'm like, okay, I mute a lot of people's stories. The people that post a lot of that shit, I mute them. Not because I don't care, not because I'm racist. It's just like, it makes me sad. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear about all the black people that died. It makes me fucking sad. Like, I'm trying to go on Instagram, maybe like a couple posts, and like, I'm not trying to get depressed, That's why I love TikTok. And it's so wholesome there sometimes.
The reason why it was so, like back to back to back to back over summer is because, and honestly, I agree with it. I agree that I like that it was like that. Not that I like that all these horrible things were happening, but I like how like boom, 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 but like you can't get away. You know why? Because this stuff has been going on for years. Mm-hmm. This movement has been going on for years and years and years and years, but it's just been so silenced over and over, and no one's like, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to look at that. To the point where like, no, I'm going to fucking make you look for months. And that's why I liked it.
But then people get desensitized by it and then just swipe out of it. And they're like, all right, well, we get it. What can I do? Like, I feel like a lot of people have the mentality like, what can I do? Mm-hmm. As like a person, just like a student, what can you do against like freaking societal racism? Like, what can you do besides post on your story and like just inform everybody who is also informed because you're friends with everybody who's like also woke,
Yeah.
It's like at that point, it's kind of like a feeling of helplessness, sadness, anger, seeing it all the time. And then it's just like, it becomes like too much. And that's why I deleted my Instagram over the summer for a little bit.
And it is common too, like, especially if you are a minority, to feel so helpless. And I felt so helpless for a long time. And that's why, I know that I don't have a huge platform, like I have social media, but I thought if I can change one person's mind, just one person. I argued for months with people, and I'm like, I want to just try to let you like I argued until like to a point where like I'm not going to change your mind. But I did that for months, And I was like, if I can just change one person's mind, that's one more person that's an ally. That's why, like, I post all the time and I talk about it. And we don't do it so much in the podcast, but, like, I would like to, like, little moments to do that, and, like, bringing it up in conversations, and, like, sending my family articles. Like, I registered, like, several people in my family to vote who had never voted before. And yeah, it's just like a couple people. But if everyone just did that, just a couple people, and try to educate like one person, imagine how many people. You know what I mean? Like, it's so easy and common, like, and I get it, to feel helpless. Like, I still feel helpless, like, all the time, but just one person. Like, you know, like, there's strength in numbers and, like, using your voice and things like that.
But yeah, it became, you know, a lot of people, like you said, who had your intentions to educate one person, blah, 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 like, it educates a bunch. And then it became a trend. And I feel like it's still a trend right now. I feel like it's more, quote unquote, trendy to post an informative Instagram story than something funny or something fun. People don't do that much anymore. If at least the people that I follow, it's mostly people who are sending or posting stuff about like racism or mental health, or just like infographics. It's just a bunch of infographics all the time. And it became a trend, because then we have social media accounts that are only about that. And, you know, it's to spread awareness, but it just bothers me how it's been taken as a trend, because trends die, you know, trends fade and they get replaced by new ones. And something like this topic is so serious and it holds so much weight that it can't just be a trend that only lasts right now because Trump was president. You know, like, it can't just end because we have Biden now. You know, it can't just end because we don't know the most recent black person that got shot. Like, it can't just end because whatever, you know. And that's what bothers me, when it's used as a trend and people think that it's a good moneymaker. Oh, let's make a play about racism. It's the hot thing right now. Like, let's talk about it. You know, let's read plays about all these other things when it comes to racism, and it's become too much.
No, that is a bit bothersome. It's for those people, like, now you care about it. You know, like, what about a year ago when it wasn't?
And it's like they care about it so much all of a sudden. You know?
It's like, but you weren't. And you know what? We're mostly focusing on our theater department. That's who we're talking about, really,
because that's the experience we have.
Yeah, and it's like immediate. It's just it's happening right now.
Currently.
It's very second. And it's like, well, why didn't you care last year? You know, you care about me today. You didn't care about me yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's because
it makes them feel good.
It makes them feel good. And also, that this whole movement has given other minorities in our theater department the confidence to say something about what they're dealing with. And now they're like, I mean, our theater department knows these issues have been going on.
Yeah.
You know, they're not stupid, you know. They're like, I'm just going to soothe you really quickly with a little mini lecture about sensitivity, and that's it. And that's all I'm going to do. And I'm going to continue to do microaggressions against your culture and your identity and your race.
But this is just a topic. It was requested to talk about this. I think it's interesting to talk about topics like this when it comes from two minorities. I just think it should be talked about. I think that performative activism should be allowed to be called on their bullshit, because it does more harm than good.
Yeah.
And it's hard, obviously, it's hard but easy to see what's performative and what's not, because like you said earlier, like, you don't know everyone's true intention, but you can kind of get a feel. But it's just like, I don't know how we would even speak up about that, but it's just, don't just put on a little performance because it's trendy to be a minority. I'm sorry.
It's hard to differentiate right now, especially since we're still in quarantine and I haven't interacted with all these people. Like, I haven't talked to you in a minute, and, you know, this is the first time I'm seeing you, you know, show your support, but I also don't know about the work you've done prior, you know? So it's really hard right now.
It's hard too, because it's like we said earlier, like, people, how do you say this? Like, converted into being an ally, you know what I mean? And it's kind of like, part of me is like, well, where were you? Like, where have you been? Why are you just now an ally? But then also part of me is like, sweet, like another number.
No, yeah.
It's like a hard mix. I hate that it's a freaking trend. I hate it so much. And I think that it's so easy to pull those cards out. You know what I'm saying when I mean cards? You know, I hate that shit. And I feel like it's so limiting. I would hate to view myself, now I'm thinking back on my artistic statement, but I hate to view myself as just a minority. Imagine, could we just grasp that concept? Like, I'm not only a minority.
I want to unpack this. Oh, you're an ally. Where have you been? And that, oh, thank you for being on my side. That idea, because a lot of minorities are like kind of pissed when people convert. A part of us is pissed and a part of us is happy.
Like, what took you so long?
Yo, and the reason why we're so pissed, it comes from a place of pain. Yeah. Like, I spent my whole fucking life begging, like, please look at me and help me and stop treating me this way and making me hate my identity. And now you're like, oh, I get it now. I'm like, but I'm still hurting from X amount of years. That's where it comes from. People need to be patient with minorities who are hurting. And you can't tell people how to deal with their suffering, you know?
But what you can tell people is how not to be a performative activist. Like, you didn't just get a little Girl Scout badge of wokeness. How about that? We can tell people that. Oh my God. Right?
Yeah. I just think if you want to be a true ally, and this goes for minorities as well, because
minorities do be ripping on other minorities.
They do, which is
peep our episode.
Minority inferiority complex.
If you're confused.
Yeah. You need to take the time, and I've said it before, and I keep saying, I said it like 20 times in this episode, I'm just going to keep saying it until someone gets it. You have to take the time to teach yourself and to listen to other people. And everyone has biases, like I said. You need to try to quiet that for a second and just listen and just really just listen and do not speak. And then you can ask questions and you can explore more, but just listen first.
Yeah, Demi Lovato.
Why Demi?
Because she thinks making a little song is going to save the world.
Oh my God, did she drop the song?
I don't know. Demi Lovato said, "Don't worry, guys. I'm going to end racism right here, right now. I'm going to go to the studio and cook up a fresh beat."
And she did, so.
And now I'm saying racism is over. Thank you, Demi. No, and this is a very heavy topic. And there are so many layers to this topic, so many avenues we could have taken talking about this. Like, what we're saying right now is the bare bones. It's literally just scratching the surface, the tip of the iceberg, as they say. So if we didn't cover everything, well, good, because my head would have exploded.
No, we didn't cover everything because you can't. Yeah. I can't teach you years of oppression and to understand that in, 30 minutes.
Yeah, just Google it.
Or you could DM me and I'll try to teach you a little bit.
But yeah, this is a very heavy topic. We just wanted to talk about it in terms of performative activism because it's on social media all the time. It's in our department. It's in film. It's in media. It's in songs. It's in life.
You go outside and you see it.
Yeah, so we just wanted to talk about it, give our little 2 cents. And if you have an opinion about this, if you have a little thought, hit us up.
Feel free to talk to me.
Yeah, don't talk to me.
I'll help you out if you're confused on anything.
Alrighty, everybody. Let's not be racist. Woo! Bye.